I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 6:01. We got a short agenda today. Oh, no, that's not any rules. Thanks, guys. So most of the stuff in here is just for us to review. Jim wrote up some things for our other projects. Shannon has said that we don't need to worry about it today, but it's just light reading for discussion on Tuesday. We've got the bond resolution here. Peggy, do you need me to read through this all the way or to summarize it? Okay, perfect. So we have the bond resolution here, authorizing us to borrow $1.5 million towards the Market Square Park project. There is a bit of legalese describing some of the pieces of the project and what it can be used for. We did get confirmation that we can put this directly into our interest-bearing account, so we're not going to be really incurring any net expenses on this money until we cut the check to the contractors. We're not expecting to use it all. Shannon, I think we were originally thinking $1 million would be okay. We moved it to 1.5 just because we wanted a buffer and there isn't an expense unless we actually use it. Trying to think if there's anything else we need to go over. Megan Kendall over at was it Kendall Waltman Burroughs did this for us, and she was in touch with the BCA guys to make sure they had all the details correct regarding the project. Yeah, if you have any questions, Shannon hopefully can answer them.
Well, are we gonna pull, are we gonna use this at all? Are we gonna cut this 1.5?
Yeah,
We will.
because we have to spend 800. I think it's like 838 in order to get 600 back. And it's already, that money's already spent pretty much,
Right.
so. And we still owe Lawman. One of the contracts, like phase 1, I think it's 100,000, phase 2, I believe is 500,000 still. That's not covered by Ready, which is the quick return money. Basically, LWRP, a little backstory to it is the first LWRP, it took 2 years to get a payment out of it. So that's where we need the funds now to be able to pay for it and wait for the reimbursement without putting our general fund way in the negative to wait for it.
This will be paid off before the 20 years though, right?
Yes, yep,
Do you have an estimated time frame as to when it would be cleared?
that's gonna depend on when we get paid back.
Okay.
So yeah, most of it, about 80% of what we end up using here will be paid, reimbursed by either the remaining little portion of Ready
Yep.
or the large chunk of LWRP, but it may take 2 years. And
Does LWR, is there like a deadline on their end where they're like, the project was assigned on this date, they have to have it paid off, or they're just willy-nilly and can do it whenever?
I'm not sure about that, that's a
Okay.
big question.
I
He
just
does
didn't-
all of the, he does the.
yeah, it's just that the last time they paid us back for a project, it was smaller,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't.
I just didn't know if they had their own deadline, that if they, we
They
signed a
might,
contract on
but-
March 6th, it has to be paid off by
Mhm.
whatever.
And also FEMA has been lagging as well. Brandon put in a request 2 months ago and we've heard nothing. So,
But what do we have guaranteed though? I mean, no timeline aside, what do we have guaranteed coming back from the LWRP?
636,
636 guaranteed,
yep,
and FEMA guaranteed.
Like 70 or 80.
148, I
Okay.
think.
And then Ready has a little bit.
That's coming back now
So
though.
what- And I know, I get why sometimes these things cost more than what we bidded. So
I
what do we have left? What are we gonna come out of pocket for?
That's what I don't know, because I don't think that this project was truly estimated where it was at, or if everything was factored into it. The bills for BCA, not just Lawman, because yes, Lawman went to bid and gave us their price. there's little bills for paving, the paver job that's out there, electrical, things that were part of the project that I don't know necessarily were factored in. I wasn't a part of that at the time, and I'm looking at the accounting software, going in and looking what we've spent. It's already over what the
Right.
total project was supposed to cost, so.
Was it counted towards our match? Because we had a match that we had to do too,
Yeah,
right?
so our match on the ready is
Already done.
Yeah.
the LWRP is where, we have a little bit more to do, but there's still more, like, these guys are gonna, it looks like we'll be fine there. But,
Did BCA come in higher than?
Yes.
well, that we had
Yeah.
that discussion, we changed it. There was also some of the subcontractors were higher than estimated because it took 2-3 years from the original estimation to doing it. But it's not going to be a huge lift. And like, we can use some ARPA money if we decide we want to.
Did
We
you get a
can-
grant to cover some of the?
That's the LWRP.
That's the.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the big chunk, because when we first accepted this bid, we were going to be over by about 800. But we knew there was options of ways to lower that. So we agreed to move forward knowing that the 800 was the worst case scenario. Dave managed to get the LWRP pretty quickly. But that is, I think it was 75% of the 800, so something around 630.
800 number was smaller. I thought it was more like. that, But I might.
Some ballpark, what do you think we're gonna come out? Couple 400,000?
Mhm.
It'd be interesting, I don't know how we can do it, is this to see where I know they publicize the change orders,
Mhm.
things like that, just be interesting, that itemized list of, what did change? Original bid, what we came in at, you know what I'm saying? Just to say, okay, what happened
I'm
here?
afraid to ask BCA because I'll try.
And everything obviously comes out of the same line on the accounting side of it, so I can get you a figure of this is what we've paid over the last 3 years.
Yeah,
And, I mean, we're already over budget for this year, what we intended on spending.
so when we close, we'll talk about something else. Okay, that's. what I'm-
Yeah, and overall, I think, this isn't really a surprise. We kind of have been dealt these changes over time.
Right,
It's just now we have to sort it out.
I
But
guess I'm surprised though, just because Jim kept saying, we've got the money, it's all good, so to ask, which I support it, obviously, but I was just surprised to have the ask.
yeah, honestly, I think
I thought we were.
when Shannon and I first started talking about this, I think the problem was if Jim had not left, or if Shannon was here the whole time, there would have been a cleaner handoff of. We knew once we went over and the LWRP came in, that's when we should have started talking about, well, we know they're gonna take 2 years. So when, there's no case where if it takes 2 years to pay us back, we're not going through a fiscal year change. Over that time, and it's just not something that we. Handed off as cleanly as we could, but we caught it in time to not be a real problem. Cause like if we were talking about this in a month and a half. We'd be popping up in the state, we'd probably get audited, because the state would be like, why is your general fund suddenly negative?
Yeah,
Which is we can explain why, but it's not, generally, these capital projects are supposed to be allocated separately so that. You don't get this big blip in your general fund. From a project that's, what's it, 4.5, 5 times our budget,
yeah.
yeah.
And like I
Okay.
told you the other day, we do have, it's not that we don't have money, we just don't have money that can be used for this.
Right. It's
We're not
the right
supposed to
line.
use it.
It's not the right
Right,
line.
we're not supposed to use it.
Yeah, so like right now, it's been paid by transferring water and sewer funds temporarily. Which was fine when it was ready money, because it was just like, we have this big $800,000 buffer we can just tap into, but we
Yeah.
can't have it roll at the end of the year like that.
And we don't know when that 600,
That's been fun.
I mean, Dave hasn't even bid for that yet.
Yeah, and
Hasn't started that.
in the
yet, so-
situation here where we're able to borrow at less than the return we can get, that's only been the case for about a year. So if that was the case back when we started, we would have been like, yeah, give us all the money to borrow, we'll make a spread, and then that
Yeah.
helps the project. But that wasn't the case until basically the class
Near
thing got
class,
done.
yeah.
That forced all the other banks to play ball, and we're still borrowing under that at 4, but So we wouldn't have, if we did it perfectly, we would have done this like 3-4 months ago,
Mhm.
so.
Where's the bond coming from?
We want,
Where's the bond coming?
haven't shopped around yet. Have to have the resolution be able to go.
We know the rates are of the last 3 months. One of the places we've used before, they publish all their, and it was between 3.5% and 4.5%. So, but yeah, the process here is we do this. Peggy files it for 30 days. Somebody can run around and get signatures to say we shouldn't do this. If they get enough, then we have to actually do it's a vote, right? A referendum. If the.
Yes.
Yeah, so somebody can force a special election before we do this if they think we're being crazy. And they need to get some number of signatures. It's not likely to happen. It hasn't happened before. After that 30 days, then you have to file something else and wait 20 days, and then we can go and get the money. I forget what the second period is called. A stop, yeah. So yeah, that's why we wanted to do it now instead of next week. Because 50 days out, we're getting tight to the end of the fiscal year, and we just don't want Shannon to be trying to juggle 50 things at the last minute. So,
And we wanna have the cash on hand at the end of the year.
And we have to, we're at the mercy of, Watertown Daily Times when they can publish it too. Because it goes from published date, not.
Got it.
days.
okay,
Okay.
all right.
I'm sorry, I could sleep like that.
She's the herding breeds, they're at peace when there's chatter. So like when it's just us, she's like patrolling, making sure I'm safe. And once there's a large group, she's like, I don't need to protect you. There's enough of you. She just passes out. Yeah, when Mary Grace is at the liquor store alone, she will bark at the door sometimes. And I'm like, she's looking out for you. And then when I'm there, she's like, it's fine, it's safe.
All right, let's vote. How do we do it? You read it, then vote?
No, we
roll
need a
call.
motion and it is a roll call vote.
I'll make a motion to pass the bond resolution.
Second chat.
All right, any other questions before we vote, guys? Ready?
And we'll start with Mayor Morja,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Waldman,
Yes.
Trustee Silva,
Yes.
Trustee Townsend,
Yes.
Trustee Levin.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Showing up in the audio on the video.
Louder now, it's actually-
That's why I'm giggling, because she's right behind me. They're all gonna think it's coming out of me.
Peggy, we all set?
Or is that-
Okay, I don't think there's anything else we need to go over today, guys. We've got a meeting next week. We got a few things to look at online. The alternate from their recommendation of Heike withdrew because he got another job, so that's easy. I mean, you still look at it, but I think if she's a good candidate, I just thought we should look. Yeah. I just
I know.
assumed we should look at it first, but the options have narrowed and we might as well. So, but yeah, just look this over if you have any questions.
Or did you already tell her?
I told Kathy, but I believe we should vote on accepting the recommendation, so we can do that Tuesday.
Then you have letters from Jim.
Yeah.
And then we'll be looking at those for next week.
Yeah,
He's coming next week.
yeah, and if you have anything, you definitely want on next week, it's pretty light, so let me know or let Peggy know and we'll get it in there.
Nothing this time. Just gonna
Nice.
be quiet.
Would not add anything.
All right,
Have you closed this meeting? I make motion to close the meeting.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
To close.
He's got to turn.